The arrival in the dark. The stars over Jupiter looked peaceful that night. They always did. But in the silence between them, something moved, something massive. It was first noticed by a small research station on Europa. The operator on duty almost dismissed it as a shadow, a trick of the telescope. But then the shadow grew and split into shapes. Dozens of them. Her hands trembled as she zoomed in. Ships, huge ships, each one larger than a city, bristling with strange towers and glowing weapon pods. They glided forward in perfect formation, their metal skins reflecting Jupiter's red storms. She hit the alarm. Within minutes, every deep space sensor in the solar system was screaming the same message. We are not alone, and they are coming for us. In the capital city on Earth, massive screens lit up with grainy images of the fleet. Crowds stopped in the streets to watch. Mothers pulled their children closer. Old veterans stared in silence. The news anchors spoke in rushed, nervous tones. This is not a drill. The Imperial fleet has entered the solar system. Their course is set for Earth. They called it the largest invasion force seen in human history. 500 warships, flanked by carriers, destroyers, and strange spike-like vessels whose purpose no one could guess. The fleet's reputation was already known. It had wiped out civilizations in days. Some planets surrendered without a fight, hoping for mercy. None received it. At the head of this armada stood High Commander Torvik, a towering alien with skin like polished stone and eyes like molten gold. In his command chamber, he studied a rotating hologram of Earth. This is the Death World. One of his officers muttered, "Dangerous place. The humans are said to be unpredictable." Torvak's lips curled in amusement. Dangerous? To prey, perhaps, but we are the hunters. When we are done, this blue rock will kneel to the Empire. His voice was calm, but behind his eyes burned the pride of someone who had never lost a battle. As the Imperial fleet passed Saturn, the first transmission came. A cold, metallic voice echoed across every human frequency. Inhabitants of Earth, you are now under the rule of the Imperial Dominion. Surrender immediately, or your world will be destroyed. The message repeated every 30 seconds. Cities fell silent listening to it. In an underground war room beneath the Pacific Defense Command, Earth's top generals watched the live feed from orbital satellites. The alien ships seemed impossibly large, like drifting mountains. Most expected fear in the room. But there was something else, something harder to name. The head of Earth's defense, Admiral Reyes, leaned back in her chair and smirked. They came all this way. Let's make sure it was a waste of fuel. Her second-in-command raised an eyebrow. We're really going to do it? Reyes nodded. Oh, we're going to do it. No survivors. High above the moon, deep in the shadows where sunlight never touched, something stirred. From massive hangars carved into the rock, black shapes began to move, sleek human warships designed to disappear into the dark. One by one, their systems came online. Railguns locked into position. Stealth drives hummed. Energy shields shimmered faintly. Invisible to the naked eye. At the heart of the fleet floated the pride of Earth's Navy, a warship so advanced that even most humans didn't know it existed. Codename Aegis Prime. Inside its bridge, Captain Nathan Cole watched the Imperial ships on his display. His crew waited for orders. They're broadcasting surrender terms again. His communications officer said. Cole's jaw tightened. Record this and send it back. The crew member glanced at him. What should I say, sir? Cole's eyes didn't leave the screen. Tell them, we're ready. In the Imperial flagship, Torvak's officers exchanged puzzled looks as the human message played. No pleading, no negotiations. Just 2 words. Torvik frowned. Primitive arrogance. We will teach them humility. But something bothered him. Their scanners had been monitoring the human fleet for hours, and yet Their readings made no sense. The human ships emitted strange, fluctuating energy signatures. Some appeared, then vanished, as if slipping in and out of reality. His science. Officer double-checked. Commander, their technology. It is not like any we have faced. I cannot predict what their weapons will do. Torvik waved it off. Then you will learn by watching them fail. Earth's response was silent now. No more messages. No visible movements, at least. None the Imperials could detect. But far above the blue planet, hidden railgun platforms. Rotated into position. Satellites armed with focused plasma beams adjusted their orbits. Submarine-based missile silos rose from the oceans, waiting for the signal. And still, the people of Earth went about their day. Some worked. Some laughed. Some simply stared at the sky. They did not look like a species about to surrender. Torvak's fleet passed Mars. The distance to Earth was closing fast. On the Aegis Prime, Captain Cole stood at the center of the bridge, his hands clasped behind his back. "Ready all weapons," he said. His voice was calm, but his crew felt the weight in it. "They think we're prey. Let's show them what happens when predators meet predators." In the black gulf of space between Mars and Earth, the Imperial fleet adjusted formation. Weapons. Powered up. Engines roared. The countdown had begun. And in that silent moment before the first shot, the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. The quiet. Before the fire, the Imperial fleet slowed as it reached the orbit of the moon. Its ships formed a massive wall of metal and firepower, blotting out the stars. High Commander Torvik stood on the bridge of his flagship, Dominator Prime. His golden eyes scanned the tactical display. Hundreds of Imperial warships, battle cruisers, dreadnoughts, missile frigates moved like one creature, their weapons glowing with charged energy. "Humans have not fired yet," his first officer reported. "Perhaps they fear us." Torvik smiled thinly. "They should." But deep down, a quiet question pressed at the edges of his mind. Why were the humans so calm? On Earth, the mood was very different from the fear the Imperials expected. In the Ave. Underground Pacific Defense Command, Admiral Reyes walked to the center of the war room. The holographic display showed every Imperial ship in perfect detail, thanks to spy satellites hidden across the solar system. Her voice was sharp and clear. "Our strategy is simple: hit them first, hit them hard, and leave nothing to recover." A younger officer frowned. "Ma'am, this is the largest fleet in the history of war. They'll overwhelm us if we—" Reyes cut him off with a cold smile. "Overwhelm us? No. They're walking into a trap." In the hidden lunar hangars, the human fleet was ready. Dozens of stealth warships floated silently in the darkness, their hulls coated with black nanomaterial that absorbed almost all light at the heart of the formation. Aegis Prime glided forward, her railgun barrels slowly rotating into position. Captain Nathan Cole stood on the bridge, staring at the Imperial formation on his main screen. They looked confident. Too confident. His weapons officer, Lieutenant Harrow, leaned in. "Sir, the Imperials are powering up weapons. Should we lock targets?" Cole shook his head. "Not yet. Let them think we're hesitating. The moment they believe we're weak, we strike." Back on Dominator Prime, Torvik watched his timer tick down. 10 minutes left until the humans' surrender deadline ended. He opened a channel to all Imperial ships, warriors of the Dominion. Today, we crush the last free world of the Deathworlders. Today, the Empire's name will be written in the blood of their skies. The crew roared in response, but before he could end the transmission, a small light blinked on his console, an incoming message from the human flagship. He raised an eyebrow. "Put it through." The display flickered, revealing Captain Cole's calm face. Torvik leaned forward. "You have 10 minutes to surrender." Cole's reply was immediate. We only need one. The screen went dark. A ripple of unease passed through the Imperial bridge crew. One of the science officers whispered, "Commander, we cannot read their weapon systems. It's as if they're invisible." Torvak's voice grew cold. "Nothing is invisible to us. Keep scanning." Still, the human fleet's strange energy readings bothered him. Ships would appear and disappear from sensors. Some seemed to split into two or merge into one. He had fought hundreds of wars, but never against an opponent whose technology felt unpredictable. On the Aegis Prime, Cole turned to his crew. "Order to all ships. Advance under stealth. Prepare for simultaneous firing on my mark." A quiet hum filled the bridge as the stealth drives activated. The human fleet began to drift forward, unseen by Imperial eyes. From the moon's dark side, railgun platforms rotated, locking onto targets far beyond normal range. In Earth's oceans, ballistic submarines shifted position, their missile hatches opening. Admiral Reyes' voice came over the fleet channel. "Remember, no survivors. The galaxy must learn this lesson once." Imperials still believed they had the upper hand. Smaller ships darted forward, scanning empty space, searching for human ships. They found nothing but shadows. Frustrated, Torvak ordered his destroyers to advance toward Earth's orbit. But just as they crossed the halfway mark, his sensors flared with hundreds of red contacts. Too close, far too close. How? His tactical officer gasped. They were not there a moment ago. Torvak's eyes widened. "Shields to maximum. Prepare to." On the Aegis Prime, Captain Cole gave the order. "Fire." The darkness of space erupted into light. Railgun slugs, each moving at incredible speeds, punched through the void. Plasma beams lanced from orbital satellites, slicing through the black. Missiles launched from under the oceans arced high above the Earth, breaking into swarms of smaller warheads that streaked toward the Imperial wall. The first Imperial cruiser exploded in a silent, blinding flash. Then another, and another. The battle had begun, but the humans had struck first, and the Imperials had no idea how bad it was about to get. Somewhere in the chaos, Captain Cole smiled faintly. The trap had been sprung. First contact. Last chance, the first Imperial cruiser didn't even have time to send a distress signal before it was gone. 1 second, it was there, glowing, shielded, proud. The next, it was nothing but spinning debris. And burning, gassed out high, Commander Torvak gripped the edge of his command table, molten gold eyes narrowing. "Find their firing positions." His tactical officer's voice cracked. "Commander, they're firing from multiple vectors. Above us, behind us, inside the formation. How is that possible?" Torvak roared. From the shadow of the moon, the Aegis Prime and her fleet advanced. Their stealth systems flickered only for milliseconds as each railgun slug left its barrel. At those speeds, there was no defense shields meant nothing. Captain Nathan Cole stood perfectly still, watching the battle unfold like a chessboard. Every few seconds, he gave a short, sharp command. "Target the destroyers at the far left. Now the carrier." 2 volleys. End it. One by one, the great warships of the Imperial fleet lit up the darkness, each detonation scattering molten metal in slow, glowing arcs. In the Pacific Defense Command war room, Admiral Reyes watched the live feed. Her voice was ice. There. Trying to regroup. Push the advantage. Cut their lines in half. "Yes, Admiral," her operators replied. Their fingers flying across control consoles, far above Earth, orbital cannons fired in perfect sync. The weapons, hidden for decades under civilian satellite covers, now revealed their true nature: massive plasma projectors that could tear a battleship in half. On the Dominator Prime, panic began to seep into the crew's voices. "Commander, We are losing ships faster than we can track. Shields collapsing on the forward fleet. 3 carriers destroyed fighters have no place to land. Torvak's claws dug into the metal rail beside him. No more hesitation. All ships fire everything. Hundreds of beams, missiles, and plasma bolts erupted from the Imperial formation, tearing toward where they believed the humans were. But the shots slammed into empty space. Missing by miles. The human ships were no longer where the Imperials thought they were. In the Aegis Prime's bridge. Cole smirked faintly. They're blind, his navigator grinned. And we've just opened their eyes to the dark. Cole gave the next order. Bring us into knife range. The crew stiffened. Knife range meant getting close enough that even if the Imperials couldn't see them well, a lucky shot could cripple them. But no. One argued. They trusted their captain. The Aegis Prime streaked forward, her black hull shimmering as it cut through the battlefield. Smaller human warships followed, moving like predators weaving through a school of fish. One Imperial battleship loomed ahead, its hull covered in jagged towers and shield nodes. Cole pointed at it. Take out the shield cores first. Then gut. It. 2 railgun slugs ripped through the towers, shattering the shields. A split second later, a focused plasma beam from a lunar station stabbed straight through the battleship's spine. It split in half, silent fire spilling into the void. Back on the Dominator Prime, Torvak realized what was happening. They're hunting us. Like wolves, he muttered. His science officer looked pale, his voice shaking. Commander, this is not war. This is extermination. Torvak's jaw tightened. He knew the truth. The battle was already lost. But retreat was unthinkable. The Empire did not retreat. Still, pride wouldn't stop what was coming. The human fleet was now inside the Imperial formation. Their stealth drives flashed briefly as they fired point-blank into cruisers, destroyers, and carriers. Each hit was precise. Each kill was final. Cole opened a secure channel to the Imperial flagship. Torvak's face appeared, bathed in red emergency lights. Cole's voice was calm. You have one last chance to leave. Right now, or none of you will. Torvik snarled. You think a few lucky shots. Cole cut him off. Lucky? Commander, if we wanted you all gone, you'd already be drifting. For the first time, Torvik had no quick reply. His silence said more than words. The humans didn't wait for an answer. The next wave of railgun fire smashed through the last organized Imperial defense line. And in that moment, the galaxy's most feared fleet began to understand the truth against Earth. Battles didn't last days. They lasted minutes. The sky turns to fire. The first wave had shattered the Imperial fleet's formation. The second wave was going to erase it. From the shadowed side of the moon, Earth's hidden railgun platforms fired in perfect rhythm. Each shot a silent spear of tungsten, moving faster than the eye could follow. When they hit, the result was instant plasma fire bloomed in the cold dark, tearing warships apart like paper. On the Dominator Prime, alarms screamed from every console. Port shields down. Engine core overheating. Carrier Group 7 gone. High Commander Torvak's golden eyes darted across the tactical display, but every update was worse than the last. His 500-ship armada was shrinking. By the second, they are targeting our reactors, his tactical officer shouted, panic in his voice. Every shot is perfect. Torvak's claws dug into the arm of his command chair. Perfect because they know exactly where to hit. In the Aegis Prime's bridge, Captain Nathan Cole stood like a stone pillar in the storm. His voice was level, his commands short. Destroy that battleship's core. Disable the carrier's engines. Split their retreat path. The human fleet danced through the chaos-black silhouettes, weaving between the burning hulks of Imperial ships. Their stealth systems flared and vanished in seconds. making them impossible to pin down from Earth. The Pacific Defense Command added more fuel to the fire. Admiral Reyes gave her next order. All orbital platforms full firepower. Target the command ships first. Across low orbit, disguised satellites unfolded into deadly plasma cannons. Their beams slashed through the dark, hitting Imperial cruisers so hard that their hulls glowed white-hot before splitting apart. The void was now filled with drifting wreckage, flickering escape pods, and silent explosions that flashed like tiny suns. But the humans didn't slow down. One Imperial destroyer tried to run, engines at maximum. It never made it far. 2 railgun shots cut straight through its thrusters, and a missile swarm finished the rest. Another cruiser attempted to hide in the shadow of a burning carrier. A stealth corvette emerged from the darkness behind it, planted a guided slug into its reactor, and vanished before the wreckage even formed. Torvak's pride earned as much as his fleet. They are not fighting like a desperate prey, he muttered. They fight like they are certain of victory. His science officer spoke in a hushed tone, as if afraid to be heard. Commander, I think they are certain. They've known where we were from the beginning. On the Aegis Prime, Cole received a tactical report. Sir, their forward lines are gone. They've lost over half their fleet. Cole nodded slowly. Half in less than 4 minutes. Let's take the rest. The human fleet surged forward. At knife range, their weapons were devastating. Railgun slugs cut through armored hulls as if slicing paper. Plasma beams burned so bright they left afterimages. In the eyes of Imperial gunners, every human ship seemed to know exactly where to be, every captain in perfect sync with the others. It was as if the entire fleet shared one mind, one purpose: destroy the invaders completely. Torvik clenched his fists. Order the fleet to regroup around the flagship, but it was too late. The humans were already inside the defensive circle. A stealth frigate appeared only kilometers from the Dominator Prime and fired a point-blank shot into a nearby dreadnought. The dreadnought detonated, the shockwave rattling Torvak's own hull in space. The battle no longer looked like a battle, it looked like a slaughter. Dozens of Imperial ships were now nothing more than drifting skeletons of metal, glowing with fire and venting atmosphere. Human warships darted between them like wolves moving through a burning forest. The galaxy's most feared fleet was being destroyed. Not in days, not in hours, but in minutes. On the Aegis Prime, Cole finally gave the order his crew had been waiting for. All ships target their flagship. Every human railgun, missile system, and plasma cannon in range turned toward the Dominator Prime. The massive ship loomed like a dark mountain in the distance, but its shields were already flickering, bleeding light. Cole's voice was cold. Let's end the fire where it began. The sky around the Imperial flagship lit up like a storm of suns. The fire had turned from defense into complete annihilation. Minutes to annihilation, the Dominator Prime shook violently under the pounding fire. The bridge lights flickered, and sparks rained from the ceiling. Shields collapsing 80% gone. We've lost weapons on the starboard side. Engine room reports reactor temperature critical. The voices of Torvak's crew were no longer confident. They were filled with fear. Torvak slammed the clod, hand down on the arm of his chair. Keep firing. Every ship still moving form a defensive wall. But when his tactical officer looked up from the display, his eyes were wide. Commander, there is no wall left. We are the wall. From the Aegis Prime, Captain Nathan Cole studied the readouts. The Imperial flagship was wounded, but still dangerous. Its remaining weapons spat long arcs of plasma toward any human ship in range. Cole's voice was steady. Target their command tower. Take away their eyes before you take their life. 2. Human railguns fired in sync, and in less than a second, One of the Dominator Prime's massive sensor arrays exploded into a cloud of molten fragments. The Imperial flagship was now firing blind. All across the void, the Imperial fleet's collapse was complete. A carrier tried to run its engines flared bright, but a missile swarm from Earth's orbital launchers found it and tore it into pieces. A dreadnought attempted to turn and ram a human destroyer, but before it could close the distance, plasma beam from a lunar station cut it in half. Small escort ships, stripped of orders and direction, drifted aimlessly until human interceptors hunted them down. In the Pacific Defense Command, Admiral Reyes kept her eyes locked on the battle map. 3 minutes until the flagship falls, an operator reported. Reyes gave a cold nod. Make it 1. On the Dominator Prime, Torvak's science officer's voice cracked. Commander, 90% of our fleet is gone. The survivors are fleeing. Torvak turned on him with fury. The Empire does not flee. The officer swallowed hard. Then the Empire will die here. Cole's fleet tightened its circle around the Imperial flagship. Stealth frigates darted in to drop kinetic charges along its hull. Missile cruisers unleashed volleys that tore open its armor like paper. The Aegis Prime herself lined up a railgun, shot directly at the flagship's primary reactor housing, ready to fire. Captain, said Harrow, the weapons officer. Cole didn't answer right away. His eyes narrowed as he spoke over the fleet channel. To any Imperial ship still listening, this is your last chance to live. Cut engines. Surrender. The silence that followed was heavy. Finally, Torvak's voice came over the comms. It was low and bitter. You are not warriors. You are executioners. Cole's reply was simple. Executioners don't warn their targets. This is mercy. Don't waste it. But Torvak refused. Do your worst, human. Cole gave a single nod. Fire. The railgun slug from the Aegis Prime traveled faster than thought. It punched straight through the Dominator Prime's hull, piercing reactor shielding and igniting its unstable core. For a split second, the flagship glowed from within, then it erupted in a silent, blinding blast that turned everything nearby into drifting metal ash. In less than 6 minutes, the Imperial fleet, the pride of the Dominion, feared across the galaxy, was gone. Only scattered wreckage, glowing fires, and the faint signatures of fleeing escape pods remained. The humans didn't chase the pods. Cole gave the order to let them go. He'll carry the story home, he said. That's worth more than killing them. In the Pacific Defense Command, Admiral Reyes allowed herself the smallest of smiles. Send the message to all channels. Earth stands and will stand forever. But in the farthest reaches of the galaxy, the survivors would tell a different story. Earth is not prey. Earth is the predator. The last ship standing, the explosion of the Dominator Prime, should have marked the end of the battle. But amid the drifting wreckage, one massive silhouette still moved a second Imperial command. Vessel, hidden until now in the chaos. Its hull was scarred, engines burning unevenly, but it was still armed. The valorous Fang, Torvak's personal flagship before he took the Dominator Prime, had been waiting in reserve. On its bridge, Torvak stood among smoke and sparks, his uniform torn, one arm bandaged. He had escaped the destruction of the Dominator. Prime in a high-speed pod, docking here moments before the humans could intercept. Around him, the surviving officers stared at the holomap in disbelief. The Imperial fleet, 500 strong, was reduced to one ship. Commander, his first officer said quietly, we must retreat. If we jump now, we can... No, Torvak growled, voice low and cold. If I flee, I return in shame. If I fight, I return a warrior or not at all. Far away, aboard the Aegis Prime, Captain Nathan Cole's tactical display lit up with a new contact. Sir, Hera reported, One Imperial warship is still moving. Large, heavily armored. Energy readings are high. They're charging weapons. Cole studied the data. It's him. He opened a fleet-wide channel. All ships hold position. This one's mine. The valorous Fang turned slowly, bringing its main plasma cannon to bear on the Aegis Prime. Torvak's voice crackled. Over the comms. Human. You've killed my fleet, but you will not kill me. I'll see your ship burn before I die. Cole replied with calm steel. Then come and try. In the war room beneath the Pacific, Admiral Reyes listened in. She didn't like it. Cole's taking him head on? She asked. Her operations officer nodded. Yes, ma'am. Reyes crossed her arms. Then he's about to teach the galaxy what head-on means to a human. The two warships closed the distance, their paths like two blades drawn to strike. In the dark silence of space, the battle became a duel, one predator testing the other. Torvak fired first. A beam of white-hot plasma tore across the void, missing the Aegis Prime by only a few kilometers. The shockwave rippled the stealth ships. Shields scattering blue light across the black. Cole's voice stayed steady. Return fire. Two railgun slugs shot out, hitting the Fang's forward armor. The first cracked it. The second punched deep, sending a burst of sparks across Torvak's bridge. But Torvak kept coming. He knew he couldn't win at range. He cut his engines to swing his ship in a brutal arc, aiming to ram the Aegis Prime and tear it apart at close. Quarters. Cole saw the move coming. Helm shift to Vector 320 under his keel. The Aegis Prime dove under the Fang, spinning in the shadow of the larger ship. As it passed beneath, all its railguns fired upward at once, blasting. Holes straight through the Fang's lower decks. Torvak's bridge shook violently. Smoke filled the air. Alarm screamed, but still he stood. Divert all power to forward guns. If I fall, I take him with me. His engineers obeyed, overloading the weapons. The forward plasma cannons flared, preparing one last, devastating shot. Cole's sensors picked up the energy spike instantly. They're going to overcharge. If they fire, the explosion could take us with them. Harrow warned. Cole's jaw tightened. Then we fire first. The Aegis Prime's final salvo was surgical. Two railgun slugs ripped through the Fangs. Weapons mount, and a third pierced its reactor. Inside, Torvak staggered as the deck beneath him began to break apart. He stared at the hollow of Earth, now glowing on his ruined display. They will never kneel. He whispered, not in hatred, but in something closer to respect. Then the valorous Fang vanished in a white-hot blossom of fire. The void fell silent. There were no more Imperial ships. Only Earth's fleet remained scarred, but standing. Cole let out a slow breath. All ships stand down. It's over. Harrow glanced at him. Sir, what now? Cole's answer was simple. Now we send them a message. That message, Earth's final warning, would spread across the galaxy like wildfire. And that's where the last chapter would begin. Earth's final message. The battlefield was quiet now. No plasma fire. No railgun thunder. Only drifting wreckage lit by the distant sun, each piece a tomb for the Imperial fleet. The human warships moved slowly among the debris, their stealth. Systems powered down. There was no need for hiding now. The fight was over. On the Aegis Prime, Captain Nathan Cole stood on the bridge, watching the last escape pods drift away. Let them go, he ordered. They're the ones who will carry the truth. In the Pacific Defense Command, Admiral Reyes stepped forward to the central communications console. All fleets secure, an officer reported. We've swept the system. Nothing hostile remains. Reyes nodded once. Then it's time to speak. She turned to Cole on the main holoscreen. Captain, I believe the honor should be yours. Cole gave a faint, humorless smile. Let's make sure the galaxy never forgets today. A few minutes later, every active communication channel across known space lit up civilian, military, even restricted Imperial frequencies. Screens, projectors, and holograms in countless worlds flickered and showed the same image. Captain Cole, standing against the backdrop of Earth's blue curve and the wreckage of the Imperial fleet. His voice was calm, steady, and carried the weight of something far greater than victory. To the rulers of the galaxy, you sent your fleet to conquer us. 500 warships. They lasted 6 minutes. His words echoed in stunned silence across planets and stations light years away. We are the people of Earth. We are the ones you called Deathworlders. You thought that meant we were fragile. You thought it meant we would kneel. You were wrong. On faraway worlds, beings of dozens of species watched, their jaws tight, their hearts pounding. Many had feared the Imperial fleet for centuries. Now they saw its wreckage drifting behind a human warship. Cole's eyes hardened. Hear me well. If you come to our skies with peace, we will greet you with peace. But if you come to conquer, he leaned forward slightly, you will not last minutes. Admiral Reyes' voice joined his, the two speaking as one message. We will not be hunted. We will not be ruled. Earth stands free and will stand forever. Across the galaxy, the reaction was immediate. On neutral worlds, cheers erupted in crowded streets. Small nations that had lived in fear of the Empire whispered to each other that maybe, just maybe, they could be free too. On Imperial worlds, officials watched in silence, knowing that the return of Torvak's escape pods would confirm every word. And deep inside the halls of the Imperial Palace, the High Council sat in stunned quiet, the image of drifting warship husks burning into their minds. Back aboard the Aegis Prime, the crew slowly began to relax. Weapons powered down. Shields disengaged. But the victory didn't bring smiles. It brought understanding. Harrow, the weapons officer, looked out at the wreckage. Do you think they'll try again, sir? Cole's answer was quiet, but certain. Not soon. Not until they think they've forgotten this day. And when they do? Harrow asked. Cole turned toward the Earth glowing in the distance. Ben will remind them. In the weeks that followed, the story spread like wildfire. Songs were written, murals painted. Entire colonies sent messages of thanks to Earth. The phrase 6 minutes became a warning carved into starports and whispered in alien bars. The galaxy now understood. Something it had never known before. Humanity wasn't just another world to be conquered. Humanity was the storm you didn't see coming. And in the cold dark beyond the stars, where new threats still watched from the shadows, the memory of the Imperial fleet's destruction lingered like a warning beacon.